Hey everyone, this is Matthew with the Pentagraphics channel, and today I'm going to be showing y'all a few more ways to utilize your lever arms. So if this sounds interesting to you, you're not going to want to go anywhere. As always, if you're new to the channel, welcome, glad to have you. Consider subscribing if you like this kind of content, as I plan on making videos just like this weekly. Now I know that this is the third video that I've made related to these lever arms, but honestly, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface regarding what you can do with these things. I feel like we need to travel a little bit further into the realm of possibilities, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna be exploring them, really diving in, really pushing the envelope, if you will. I need to have an envelope in my hand, really pushing it. I'm just gonna show y'all a few more setups that I've come up with utilizing your lever arms, just so you can get the most out of them, that's all. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, y'all have already seen these three setups, but I really just wanted to make this video again, just showing all the pieces that I use, how to assemble everything, and just kind of give my overall opinion as to how well all three of the setups actually work. Now, one of them involves attaching a pull-up bar to both the arms and using it as a bench press, which works surprisingly well. Now, the other two setups are a little more complicated, yet highly effective, and especially useful for those of you who have the shorter arms like me inside of your power rack. So with all that being said, are y'all ready to get started? All right, so first up, we've got the lever arm bench press. As I mentioned previously, it involves using a pull-up bar that you would normally attach to your power rack. You're gonna attach that to both the lever arms themselves, and then you'll bench press. Now the pull-up bar I'm using here is the one that came standard with my Monster power rack. As you can see here, it's pretty straightforward. You just attach the pull-up bar to the lever arms using some bolts and you're good to go. Now the bolts I'm using are some that I picked up from a local hardware store here in town, and I highly recommend you explore this same option if you're able to. You're just gonna save yourself the shipping costs, because these things are the 1-inch bolts, or at least mine are because I've got the Monster rack. And they're pretty heavy and they're kind of expensive as it is anyways, plus the addition of shipping costs. If you can save it and get them locally, again, highly recommend you do so. Now, another piece of advice for y'all, this is optional of course, get you some Rogue Monster knurled knobs, use those in place of nuts. It makes the whole process way faster and easier. Plus you can get it pretty freaking tight using these Monster knurled knobs. Just because they're knurled, you get you a good grip on it. Tighten it down, you're good to go. No tools required. Now my third and final piece of advice pertaining to this particular setup is get you some felt with the adhesive backing, or get you some Velcro, get you the fuzzy loop side of the Velcro, and put that on the inside of the pull-up bar. That way you can avoid any unnecessary scratches to your equipment. So when it comes to actually mounting the pull-up bar to the lever arms, it's really personal preference as to where to mount it on the lever arms. Me, myself, I like to mount it as far down the arm as possible. Again, to each their own, play around with it, see what feels best for you. Once I get the pull-up bar in place, I'll attach a weight plate storage pin to each one of the lever arms. Now something that I like to do that's completely optional is I like to take a set of old collars and slide them on the weight plate storage pins before I put my weights on there. And I only do this because the bolts that I'm using to attach the pull-up bar to the lever arm are slightly longer than they need to be, so they actually stick out a little bit past those knurled knobs. They can potentially scratch my weights. You might not even have this problem. If you do though, something to consider. Again, you don't even have to use a collar. You can use like a piece of PVC pipe or something. As long as the diameter is bigger than the weight plate storage pin, it'll slide over, you're good to go. So once you've installed the pull-up bar and the weight plate storage pins, you're basically done. So good job. Now, a question you may be asking is, why would you even consider doing this? And it's a good question. For me personally, I feel like the handles that come with the lever arms, the normal grip or the standard horizontal grip, whatever you call it, I feel like it's a little, I feel like it's a little too wide. For me, I like to get in a little bit closer sometimes, especially if I'm doing some sort of a tricep movement. If you've got a solid bar across, you can put your hand anywhere you want. That's the beauty of this setup. I know it does take away the whole unilateral independent arm, bonus that you're getting from two independent lever arms. But if you're using this as like a finisher move, after you've done like a normal bench press or maybe some dumbbell presses or something, it feels fantastic. It's a good way to like really get a pump in. So try it out. You're going to love it, or you're not. Try it out. Huh? All right, now moving on to the second setup I wanted to show y'all. It is a lever squat. You can call it a back squat, a front squat, a hack squat, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. I call it fun. As I said previously, this one's just a little more complicated, but not really. I mean, it involves a piece that you probably don't just naturally have lying around, but it's totally worth it to get if you can get it. And of course, the piece that I'm referring to is a cross member. You're gonna have to have an extra cross member to set this one up. And then actually you're gonna have it for the next setup I'm gonna show you as well. So it is a 2-for-1 if that makes you feel any better. Now, speaking of the cross member, I chose to go with a bottom cross member as opposed to the top cross member, only because the way it's designed. I mean, you've got the cross member itself, and then you got the flat portion where the bolts actually run through. It's just easier to access the bolt holes versus the top where it's kind of got that channel and that cutout there. I don't know, it seemed a little more it was just easier to use a bottom cross member in my opinion. Although you do save a little bit if you do go with the top one. Pick whatever one you think works best for you. You're gonna wanna go with the bottom though. Go with the bottom! Now the same applies to this setup as it did the previous. I'll put some felt or some Velcro on the ends of that cross member just to prevent the metal to metal contact, you know, when you're bolting it to the lever arms. And then I'll use some collars to put on the weight horns just to prevent my weights from digging into the ends of the threaded bolts. Again, you don't have to, but why not? Not only are you gonna have a cross member, I prefer to use 2 leg rollers to rest on my shoulders. You don't have to use these. You can also use 2 weight plate storage pins. Not gonna lie, they dig in and they hurt, but maybe I'm a wimp. That's fine. Seriously though, get 2 leg rollers. I chose to get 2 rogue leg rollers, 2 monster rogue leg rollers, obviously. Just because they go in there, the way they're designed, they hold really tight. There's no movement, no play at all. I know some leg rollers from other companies, they can actually go into the holes and they flop around quite a bit. I'm not so sure you would want that, but just go with the Rogue ones. Now, I chose to also use 2 weight plate storage pins, although you can technically use the handles that come with the lever arms and just use the pin, you know, off of that to put the weight plates on. The problem is it's a little too far forward in my opinion, so you're actually gonna have to have more weight on it to kind of get the same results. Basically, if the weight's in line with you, you're gonna feel more of the weight, which is why I like to use 2 weight plate storage pins. And then lastly, you're gonna have to have bolts to assemble everything. I actually use the same bolts that I was showing previously for the pull-up bar setup. They work, they're the same length, everything's good. And then of course I use the monster knurl knobs. Again, that's optional. You can use nuts, but I recommend those just because you can hand crank everything. No tools are required. And now that you've got everything installed, you're ready to start squatting. Good job. Now the beauty of this setup is it pretty much eliminates the balancing aspect of just a traditional barbell squat. Not that that's a good or a bad thing, but sometimes you just want to load the weights up on your legs and just go. Kind of like a leg press. I mean, there's no balance really required in a leg press. Yes, you are missing out on the stabilizer muscles holding you up and this and that. But the positive to this is you can actually step forward or you can step back while you're, locked into position without the risk of falling over. That's something you can't do with a barbell. And so with you being on a fixed, path, whatever the lever arm will allow you to do, you've got a little more freedom in terms of your foot stance and your placement, I guess you could say. All in all, I mean, it's a great finisher. If you're gonna do barbell squats, you can burn out with this right here. Or, maybe barbell squats aren't your thing. You'd like a machine. It's a perfect, I recommend you try it. I don't think you're going to go wrong with this. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy solely doing this, or I enjoy incorporating both kinds of squats into my regimen. Yeah, give it a shot. All right, now lastly, we're going to talk about a belt squat. Not just any old belt squat. I'm going to talk about a belt squat that can be done from within the rack if you have the shorter. Why do I have an accent? I'm going to be talking about a belt squat that you can do from within the rack if you happen to have the shorter lever arms like I do. Now the lever squat that I just got done showing y'all can easily be converted into this belt squat simply by dropping the trolleys on the uprights and then replacing the leg roller pins with the safety spotter arm. Once you've got the safety spotter arm in place, you're going to attach a Rogue Monster shackle if of course you've got a monster rack, or the attachment post, I believe is what they call it. That's going to be your anchor point for the actual belt to perform the belt squats. Of course, if you don't have either of these things, you can just use a piece of chain. It works. Now, when setting up this belt squat, you're going to want the safety spotter arm as low to the ground as possible so that you can achieve maximum depth. Now for me, I'm 5'11", using this setup, I have no problem at all hitting my desired depth when squatting, but for you taller individuals, you may want to stand on some weight plates or something just to get you up a little bit higher. I mean, something to think about. Now, something I like to do that's completely optional is I like to slide 2 band pegs into the uprights and use them as handles for when I'm performing the movement. Again, you don't have to do this, but it is nice to kind of take away the balancing aspect. You can just hang on to those and go. And I know when you're doing belt squats, you'd prefer to start at the top rather than the bottom, just because it's awkward to load up all the weight and then have to squat up just to do the first squat down, basically. Don't worry, I've got a fix for that as well. There's really not too much to say about this lever belt squat setup other than it works, and it works well. So I highly recommend y'all give it a shot. Now, something I forgot to mention earlier is an alternative piece to using a cross member that I feel would actually work out pretty well, possibly even better, if of course you already have one of these. Now, the alternative piece that I'm suggesting trying out that might be a better substitute would be the Rogue Monster bench prop. Surely you're familiar with this product. It's the one that Brandon Campbell had partnered with Rogue that come up with it. It's designed to keep your bench, centered in the rack. That way you're not to the left or the right. Now, the reason I feel like this would actually work out pretty well would be because of its design. It's already got UHMW plastic integrated into it, which would protect your lever arms when you're attaching it. It's a 4-way hole pattern all throughout, so you can put the leg rollers wherever you needed to, same as the cross member. It's constructed out of 11 and 7 gauge steel, so it's built like a tank, and it actually might be a quicker on and off solution. So I would highly suggest, if you've got one, to give this a shot. In theory, if you were to implement this bench prop into this lever arm setup, you would flip it upside down. That way all the pressure is going to be on the lip of the bench prop itself. You'd run you a bolt in, one on each side, and then you'd run a bolt from the top to the bottom on each side, of course. And that would be it. I mean, attach the leg rollers and you're good to go. Again, I do not own this product. I don't know if this would even work. In theory, it would. I really don't see any reason why it wouldn't. Don't purchase this product for this reason. Buy it for its intended purpose, and then this might be an extra bonus for you. So that's my suggestion. Take it or leave it. Definitely take it though. Okay, everyone, that is all I've got for y'all. I hope you found this video useful and maybe at the very least entertaining, possibly. Again, if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. Definitely like this video. Give it a like, a little thumbs up if you did like it. But other than that, follow me on Instagram, as I always say, as I post on there more frequently than I do on here. And yeah, y'all have a good day, and I appreciate y'all.